So welcome back to another rebuild here on NBA 2K25 Next Gen. And in today's video, we have the Portland Trail Blazers. Last season, Portland won only 21 games. They are obviously going through a rebuild right now, that being the case ever since the blockbuster trade that sent their franchise player Damian Lillard to the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, this is a team that is obviously going to take some time to get back up to the top of the mountain. I think this is a young core that is maybe still not fully established. There are, of course, some veteran pieces on this roster as well. Our end goal today by the end of 3 years is to get this team a championship. And as always, let me know any other rebuild ideas down below in the comments section. After this rebuild, we have two regular rebuilds left. It is the Washington Wizards and the Utah Jazz. We are going to get them both done by the time this week ends. And then after this Friday, we are going to be done with all of these rebuilds. So anything you guys want to see, let me know down below in the comments section. Of course, we have the series I do every year, historic rebuilds, challenges, all that fun stuff. But I always love hearing your guys' ideas and what you all want to see. So I'm excited for this one today. Portland is in a very interesting spot, and I think I can turn this thing around. Let's get into it. Let's go ahead and have a conversation about the current state of the Portland Trail Blazers. Of course, nobody really expects them to be any sort of competitive team this season. Let's go ahead and take a look at what the future could possibly hold with this team and with this group. So position by position, Scoot Henderson, obviously the number 3 overall pick from just a season ago. I would not say had the greatest rookie campaign of all time. Of course, spent some time in the G League. I know he dealt with some injuries. I am excited to see what another full season of Scoot Henderson can look like, because it feels like these days we are so fast and so quick to label players busts, especially those who are drafted like super high, like Scoot Henderson. So I'm not saying Scoot Henderson's going to turn into the next Russell Westbrook or Damian Lillard, but honestly, let's just give these young gentlemen some time to progress and turn into something in the NBA. So I'm not super high on Scoot Henderson, but I still think there is hope for him to be a quality NBA player. They brought in Devontae Graham this offseason. That was actually, I believe, their only real signing they made. He's currently listed as the only backup point guard on this team. We will certainly take a look at all of our options there. We head to the shooting guard spot. Anthony Simons, 25 years old, obviously established with this team for a while now on a long-term contract, and he is certainly somebody that I'm going to be interested to see how he plays out for us here today, because he is one of the better players on this team, and there's certainly an argument to be made that, hey, why not just keep him in that starting shooting guard spot the whole time? Well, it's because I'm pretty high on Shaedon Sharpe. I know Shaedon Sharpe's injured in real life right now. Here in 2K, in this fantasy world, we, of course, do not play with injuries on, and I am a very big Shaedon Sharpe fan. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with him here today in this shooting guard spot position as a whole, but Shaedon Sharpe, I am certainly hoping will be in my starting lineup. They got Delano Banton here, of course, came over in a deal last season with the Boston Celtics. Actually played really well in the time that he actually got here in Portland. So I'm excited for him. He's only 24 years old. Maybe still a little bit of something to unlock in there in him. We head to the small forward spot. This is also going to be a very interesting area for me, because Jeremy Grant re-signed with this team just 2 off seasons ago. He's 30 years old. He's an 82 overall, which I believe is the second highest overall on this team, but he just doesn't really fit the timeline in real life. Now here at 2K, I keep him 3 years. That's not the end of the world. I also think there's an upgrade there at that small forward spot that I'd like to make eventually. So I'm not saying I'm just going to trade Jeremy Grant right off the rip. I may not, but I'm certainly also going to consider all of my options. Deni Avdija was the big trade they made this offseason. I believe it was on draft night. Of course, a deal with the Washington Wizards that sent out Malcolm Brogdon, some future draft capital, all those fun things. I'd like this pickup for Portland quite a bit. I think Deni Avdija is one of those players that can certainly be a nice young piece to maybe plug in at that small forward spot. And whether he's playing the 3 or the 4, we will definitely get him some run here today. Got Matisse Thybulle here. I'm not really sure whatever happened with Matisse Thybulle. It felt like he was at one point really young and promising in Philadelphia, especially for his defensive abilities, but obviously that offense never really caught on. So he's a nice role player to have on the team, still a really solid defensive option, but you know, at a 74 overall and 27 years old, it's probably not going to get that much better. You got Chris Murray, of course, the brother of Keegan Murray, 24 years old, 73 overall, kind of a similar boat. If that overall can go up a little bit, maybe he can be an impactful role piece. The power forward spot, currently only have 2 listed power forwards on this team. That would be Toumani Camara and Jabari Walker. 74 overall for both of them respectively. Of course, 24 and 22 years old. By no means have they reached their ceilings. I'm just not sure if either of them is going to be a 3-year starter for me here today. And then the center spot, one of the more interesting positions on this team, because there is a lot of different options here with this group. Now, DeAndre Ayton, I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with him. He has been up and down, obviously former number 1 overall pick, taken ahead of Luka Doncic and many other really good players today, and he is just kind of, a nice center role player. I don't really know how to describe DeAndre Ayton. He's certainly not what you would have hoped for in a number 1 overall pick, though. Robert Williams, my heart breaks because he's always injured, and I miss him on my Celtics every single day. But he is going to be probably just a backup option for me here today. You got Duop Reith, who's 28, 74 overall, probably my 4th string center right now. And then, of course, Mr. Donovan Clingan. The 7th overall pick out of UConn was a very, very important piece for those UConn teams that won back-to-back national championships. So this is an interesting spot. I, of course, am going to have to figure out what that starting 5 and especially that center position is going to look like. But we have a few trades before we kick off year 1. Our first trade of today's video is going to be a deal here with the Chicago Bulls. Now, this deal by no means completely clears out the logjam we had at our center spot, but it allows us to get a quality backup point guard here in Coby White, and it also allows us to move on from DeAndre Ayton. So I don't really want to give up Chris Murray, but I'm getting 2 quality players with Coby White and Jalen Smith, and I don't have to give up a draft pick. So I'm excited about this deal. It obviously makes my job just a little bit easier moving forward, but we still have some pretty big decisions to make. I feel kind of bad. Almost feels like I'm kind of abusing the Chicago Bulls right now, but we're making another trade with Bulls, and it's going to be us sending Delano Banton and Jabari Walker over to Chicago for Ayo Dosunmu and Torrey Craig. Now, Ayo's going to obviously come in, be a little bit of an upgrade at our backup shooting guard spot, and more importantly is on a multi-year contract where Banton and Walker are both going to be expiring after this season. So I think I have figured out the way this 10-man rotation is going to work. Now, stick with me for a second. Scoot Henderson's going to start. Coby White's a better player right now. There's no doubt about that. But in what we are going to consider basically a throwaway season and a season that is going to be for basically no purposes other than development, we're going to start our number 3 overall pick, 20-year-old Scoot Henderson. Coby White will be his backup off the bench. It's going to be Simons and Dosunmu. I moved Shaedon Sharpe to the 3. He is going to start. Grant will come off the bench. I moved Deni Avdija to the 4. He will start. One of Kamara. Kamara started. Excuse me. Backup. Excuse me. I'm all over the fucking place. And then I am going to start Donovan Clingan, and then Robert Williams is going to be the backup. Unfortunately, Smith and Reith are just not really going to be playing. So maybe one more trade just to see if anybody's interested in potentially picking up Matisse Thybulle. Probably going to opt into his player option, but if I can get a draft pick, I'll still actually be able to move on from him. So this could be our final deal. Anybody want to give me a draft pick? No, not really. Man, I don't really blame you. All right, well, hang on to him. He's just not going to play. Let's set the rotation. Couple trades have now been finalized. We are ready to kick off year 1 here in Portland. The rotation, again, maybe on paper doesn't make the most sense if we were trying to win the most games. That is not really our goal right now, though. It is going to be Scoot Henderson, Anthony Simons, Shaedon Sharpe, Deni Avdija, and Donovan Clingan 1 through 5. Now, pretty young group. I think, again, it's going to be a year for development, and hopefully that is going to be the only positive that we are going to get. Now, the bench is actually pretty good because there is a lot of starting quality players on this bench unit. Coby White is going to take over as my 6th man. We got Jeremy Grant. We got Robert Williams, Ayo Dosunmu, and Toumani Camara rounding out this 10-man rotation. So I am interested to see how this is going to go. I'm not sure if we're going to be the worst of the worst, but we are definitely not going to be a playoff team or anything like that. So I am excited for the offseason. Let me just say that. I'll see you guys at the end of the first regular season. I really hope the development of our young talent went well because everything else about this season did not. We won 15 games. I thought rock bottom would have been the 21-win season they had just a year ago, but obviously that is not the case. Luka Doncic, he's your MVP. Donovan Clingan does win Rookie of the Year. Okay, that's a surprise because I feel like it's always Zachary Rieseshay here at the end of year 1. So I will, I'm leaving here with something. Let me just tell you that. TJ McConnell, 6th man of the year. Victor Wembanyama, your DPOY. Men Thompson, most improved. Trae Young, clutch player of the year. And Jason Kidd, 59 wins there in Dallas. He takes home coach of the year. Okay, let's talk about the standings. It is a safe bet that we are going to be the bottom of the West. We are, and we are actually at the bottom of the entirety of the NBA. So maybe number 1 overall pick. We will find out very shortly. Anthony Simons was good. About 22 points a game. Really good scoring option for us. You got Scoot Henderson. Not bad. I can work with that. Shaedon Sharpe, Deni Avdija, Coby White, Grant, Clingan, Dosunmu, Rob Will, and then Kamara. Rebounds per game led by Clingan. And assists is going to be Deni Avdija. Okay, let's sim through the playoffs. I am hoping and praying that this is the one and only bad season we are going to have. Anthony Edwards, my fucking God, and Tyrese Halliburton. Okay, Timberwolves end up, really? Can we just pump the fucking brakes here, 2K? I understand you like Anthony Edwards. Everybody does, but my God. Okay, it is time for offseason number 1. It's pretty much the same guys that always end up retiring. We're going to get into the draft lottery because, of course, this being the make or break point of this video for us. Now, it says Portland is projected to have our pick. Our pick is protected 1 through 14 for this year, next year, and the year after that. We're going to have our draft pick. Let's just see what ends up happening here, and we end up with Oh, number 5. Okay, that fucking sucks, but it is what it is. I know a lot of Blazers fans are not huge fans of Chauncey Billups. There is no doubt about that. Many people think he is incompetent. I am not here to disagree with you. I am just going to take a look at my options here instead. Okay, I got Ime in yesterday's video. I'm not going to do that. I obviously get Stauffer from time to time. I think what I'm going to do is give one more season to Chauncey Billups, and then we'll make a decision next offseason. It's going to be weighted by many different factors, including the fact that we are going to have a better team next year, no doubt, and then we're also just going to see how the team does and see if he ends up deserving to keep his job. So, Blazers fans, don't kill me. I understand a lot of you do not like Chauncey. Okay, number 5 overall pick. That is obviously not nothing. We are going to certainly weigh all of our options very carefully. We are making a trade. It's not anything too crazy. We're only moving up one spot and to deal with the Charlotte Hornets, and we're swapping Jeremy Grant for Miles Bridges. Now, I think Miles Bridges is a legitimate piece of shit, but he is going to be a tradable asset for me, and we move up one spot, which is going to guarantee me one of the 4 players I am looking for. So, that's fine by me. We're going to stick at number 4. I know I've gotten Cooper Flagg a decent amount. We will not be drafting him here today. He ends up going number 2 overall, Harper Flagg, and then VJ Edgecombe as well. Okay, Ace Bailey feels like the obvious pick. I know I've also drafted him a bit in the past, but we're pretty much all set at every starting 5 position right now. So I think, again, we're in one of those positions where it makes sense to probably draft the best player available. I understand maybe some people like to go fit or whatever, but we're going to go ahead and draft who I consider the best player available right now, and that would be Ace Bailey. So welcome to the team, 6'9", 210 pounds out of Rutgers. He's going to be an 80 overall. Sharp, Henderson, and Thibault does accept his player option. Surprise, surprise. All right, Bryce McGowan's probably not. Moore and Minea, not going to be qualified. And as we enter free agency, we don't really have any free agents that I'm seriously interested in bringing back. So right now, I think it is time to look for some upgrades. Okay, big blockbuster deal has been pulled off with the Toronto Raptors, and it gives us an upgrade at our power forward spot. Bridges, Thibault, Reith, Smith, and our unprotected first in 2027 have all been sent to the Toronto Raptors, and Scotty Barnes going to be taken over at our power forward spot. I don't have a problem with Denny Avdia. He's a fine role player on this team, but if we want to be anything, I guess, remotely competitive next season, it was clear we needed an upgrade at probably every position, but our power forward spot especially. So welcome to the team, Scotty Barnes. I am super excited to have him here. I think we have a few more moves coming. This one may surprise some of you, and I'm not going to necessarily disagree with you if you think this is a bad trade, but this is a 2K trade and not nearly a deal I would ever consider in real life, because Anthony Simons and Ayo Dosunmu are both expiring contracts. I think hanging on to Anthony Simons would make a lot of sense, but you're also going to see why we're doing this trade in just a second. So we're picking up Amen Thompson. He is going to be coming off our bench unit. We are also getting a draft pick, which is something we don't have a lot of right now. He's also going to be younger than both these players, and this is going to be a deal that allows me to go ahead and move Shaedon Sharpe back to the shooting guard spot and keep him in the starting 5 while also starting Ace Bailey, which was always going to happen heading into year 2. So I know that's maybe a little risky because Simons was clearly our best player, at least in the scoring department last year, but it allows us to maybe not have to re-sign so many guys next offseason, because Kobe White's also going to be a free agent, and then we have a couple other guys here that we have to possibly worry about as well. So I think I'm just going to probably let this thing run. I think we're maybe going to move, I don't know, I guess Denny Avdia can be Ace Bailey's new backup. We'll just move him back to the small forward spot. But other than that, I don't think it's really necessary to force the issue too much, because we've made a big move, obviously a couple of them. But I think this team should, at least hopefully be remotely competitive next year. So I'll just see you guys at the start of year number 2. I think there's a lot of different possibilities with this group. Of course, we're seeing some of the overalls go up, which is basically my one and only goal so far throughout this rebuild. But we've also put together a team that I think fits really well together. I think there's a lot more balanced attack offensively, of course, a lot of defense going on with this team. I'm excited. I think we're a very deep team as well. It is Scoot Henderson, Shaedon Sharpe, Ace Bailey, Scotty Barnes, and Donovan Clingan as our 1 through 5. Bench unit will be led by Amen Thompson, Kobe White, Denny Avdia, Robert Williams, and Toumani Camara. So here goes nothing, I guess. I think my biggest goal and maybe my lofty expectations would be like a 5 seed, but that might be getting a little bit too ahead of myself. So we will find out together at the end of year number 2. This was a shocker. A shocker to say the least. 52-30. That is the record here at the end of the second season in Portland. And I did not think this team had what it took to be an actual threat here in a very loaded Western Conference, but I'll take it. Luka Doncic, MVP. We got Cooper Flagg is up. How the fuck did the Heat get the second overall? Okay. That's terrifying. Jaden Ivey, your 6th man of the year. Wemby wins another DPOY. Alex Sarr, most improved. Steph Curry, clutch player of the year. Mark Daignault. I feel like maybe Chauncey Billups should have been in the conversation, but that's neither here nor there. Okay, it is time to take a look at the standings. We end up, wow, 52 wins is only the 5 seed here in the West. It's going to be us versus Denver here in round 1. Of course, before the season, we talked a little bit about a 5 seed being a lofty goal. Of course, that goal has been accomplished, but now it's time for the playoffs. It's the real deal. Here's a look at the East. We would have been a 2 seed in the East. God bless this goddamn league. Okay, let's take a look. It is Scotty Barnes, Scoot Henderson, again, continuing to develop. Ace Bailey, really solid rookie campaign. Shaden Sharp, so we had 4 guys at 16-plus points a game. This is what I talked about earlier in the video, a little bit more of a balanced offensive attack. That's exactly what we got. Kobe White, Thompson, Avdia, Klingon, Rob Will, and then Kamara. Rebounds per game, we were led by Klingon, and assist is going to be Scotty Barnes. So it is us and the Denver Nuggets, of course. Donovan Klingon, Robert Williams, everybody who is legitimately tall and can maybe give it their best shot of going up against, in my opinion, the best player in the world. All right, they've also added Lonzo Ball and Chris Middleton, so those are some pretty nice veteran additions, but here goes nothing. We split the first 2 on the road, lose game 3 at home, tie it up at 2-2, go up 3-2, and we win the series. We beat the Denver Nuggets. We knocked them off. All right. Now we move on to one of 2K's babies here. Of course, the Minnesota Timberwolves, who have a superstar in Anthony Edwards. A lot of really quality players around him. So I don't know if this is the end of the line for us, but if it is, it was a hell of a run. But okay. Maybe? No. Okay, game 7. Fuck. All right, drop game 7 on the road, but that is a really, really promising season. I can 1,000% work with that, and we are going to head into our final offseason a lot more positive than I was probably assuming we were going to be at this point. So does it mean Chauncey Billups keeps his job? We're going to probably find that one out together. That pick via the Brooklyn Nets. Did I trade for that in today's video? I'm not sure. I'll have to check that. All right, and then in terms of the coaching, Chauncey Billups' ratings, I mean, they're decent. I just don't think he deserves to be fired. I mean, if I can get one of Missoula or Jason Kidd, I probably would. How many offers do they have? I'm curious. I could probably get Joe Missoula, who I do think is a much better coach than Chauncey. I think Chauncey's ratings might be a little bit more balanced. You know what? Fuck it. I'm getting Joe Missoula. I'm doing everybody who is a Trailblazers fan a favor because I know you probably are not a huge fan of Chauncey Billups. All right, and then I'm going to throw an offer at Jason Kidd, and then just in case, I'll throw some at Mike Stauffer. Okay, do we get any of them? We get Missoula. It's fine by me. Welcome to the team, Joe. All right, let's head up to the NBA draft. It currently says we have, what, the 7th overall pick via the Brooklyn Nets? I don't know if we're actually supposed to have that, so let me just fact check that real quick. We actually are supposed to have that pick. Now, the pick is not technically our own. We didn't start the video with it, but it actually came from the Amen Thompson trade. I checked. The Houston Rockets currently own the right to swap their 2027 first-round pick with the Brooklyn Nets, and obviously that is now our right because we traded for the pick. So, yes, we are supposed to have the pick, long story short. I am going to consider a few different things here. Of course, drafting somebody is very much within play. I think another depth piece, especially with all the free agents we have, would not be the worst idea in the world. But if I can also throw like Tumani Kamara in this pick in a trade and maybe get a significant upgrade, I would certainly, consider all different options. So let's just see. Of course, we have a little bit of cap space right now because we don't have a lot of our guys re-signed. Obi Toppin. Like, there are some nice players here, don't get me wrong, but you know what? I'm just going to draft somebody. I'm going to draft somebody and, I'll draft somebody. I don't know if whoever we draft is actually going to play. Maybe themselves will be a trade piece at some point, but I'm just going to make a selection, see who's available. Koa Pete, sure. Welcome to the team. Why not? Power forward is kind of the one position I'm considering an upgrade at anyways, at least the backup one. So welcome to the team. He's going to be a 77 overall. Thompson, Henderson, Klingon, all going to be brought back. Qualifying offers. Shaden Sharp, Bryce McGowens. I didn't even think you were still here, my friend. And as we approach free agency, we definitely have some guys that we got to pay some money to. So starting out with Shaden Sharp, Robert Williams, and Kobe White, we're going to pay all 3 of them, bring all 3 of them back, and I think it might be time for maybe one more upgrade. We're going to see if it's possible to land Jaren Jackson Jr., who is now apparently on the Phoenix Suns. Look, I have no problem with Donovan Klingon as our starting center. He has been pretty good from what we had in terms of expectations for him, but if we want to go into a championship or bust season, not being as good as we possibly can at every single position, it just doesn't really feel very smart. So I'm offering up Rob Will, Denny Avdia, and Tumani Kamara in hopes of landing Triple J. Now, I don't have a ton of draft assets. Okay, wow. that was actually a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. All right, well, now we need to find ourselves either a new backup shooting guard or a backup small forward, Shaden Sharp, or Ben Thompson can obviously play either. So let's just look at the options here in free agency. I think Grayson Allen is a world-class scumbag, but he is a really good shooter, and he's going to be a beneficial piece of this team. So, yep, we are running it into the final regular season. Again, we're going to hope for a lot of development for a lot of these players, but this is it. I will see you guys with the full rotation. Last season was awesome. We obviously made it to the second round of the Western Conference playoffs and went to 7 games with the eventual champion Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, it was a little bit of a Cinderella story maybe, but now we are established. We are still kind of young, but we have a talented enough team to make some serious noise here in the Western Conference, and I have championship expectations. I really do. It is Scoot Henderson, Shaden Sharp, Ace Bailey, Scotty Barnes, and Jaren Jackson Jr. Bench unit is elite at that. Amen Thompson, Kobe White, Donovan Clingan, Grayson Allen, and Koa Pete. So it is hopefully good enough. I will see you guys at the end of the final regular season. This game never fails to amaze me. I mean, so many different things to talk about really quickly. First and foremost, Luka Doncic, now a member of the Sacramento Kings, always seems to leave Dallas. I'm not really sure why. He feels like a lifetime Dallas Mavericks player. But he is your MVP. Sacramento, you actually could have drafted him in real life, but good work getting him the second time around. More importantly, we were good. We were actually historically good. 78-4. 78-4. We don't have a 90-plus overall on this team, and we go 78-4. I don't know. I know we have a lot of really good depth on this team, and I guess maybe we're just a very complete group, but 78 wins? Okay. Cameron Boozer, your Rookie of the Year. Trae Young, now a member of the Memphis Grizzlies. He's coming off the bench. What is this rebuild? Okay. Wemby, your Depoy. Ian Jackson, Most Improved. Nikola Jokic, Clutch Player of the Year. And our guy, Mr. Joe Mazzulla. A lot more teams need to play some Mazzulla ball. He's your Coach of the Year. So, yeah, it's a safe bet. We're going to be the 1 seed. I know I say this every single time something like crazy happens in these rebuilds, but I have had teams that are like historically good with like 4 or 5 90 overalls, and I can barely crack 60 wins, but this team goes 78-4. Okay, let's dive into the numbers real quick. See how everything kind of shook out. Barnes, Bailey, Henderson, Sharp, Jackson, White, Thompson, Clingan, Pete, and then Allen. Rebounds per game led by Ace Bailey, and then assists is going to be Scoot Henderson. I don't really know. I mean, I guess nobody should really scare me considering we just won 78 games, but I just feel like there's another shoe to drop at some point, like 2-2 right now with the Memphis Grizzlies, and oh my God. Thank God. If we had lost that might have been the most embarrassing loss of my entire 2K career. We now move on to the 5-seed Houston Rockets. Of course, I've made a couple deals with them here in today's video. They are still pretty good themselves, and I am not really nervous. I'm going to be a little cautious because we're up 2-1 right now. We go up 3-1, and we close them out in 5. Now we're moving on to the Timberwolves. I believe they've won 2 straight championships in this video, so they are incredible and very talented, but we're looking to get our revenge a little bit, if you will. We're 2-2 with them right now. We go up 3-2, and just like that, we advance to the NBA Finals. Scotty Barnes and Tyrese Halliburton win Conference Finals MVPs. All right, here are the Pacers. They are good. They obviously have an incredible offense and a whole lot of talent here and a lot of depth at that. So here goes nothing in the NBA Finals. We are currently up 2-1. We go up 3-1, and as we head back to Portland for a potential closeout Game 5, I wouldn't mind getting a little bit of gameplay with this group because this is a historically good team, even if maybe I'm not really a big believer, but apparently I should be. I'll see you in there. On the verge of our championship, I, again, did not really expect the team to be this good, but apparently we just got a team that is way better than I thought we were. So we'll put up a few shots. I guess we can chat about the Portland Trailblazers right now in real life, not the team we've obviously constructed here in 2K, but just kind of talking about this team right now and the state of Portland basketball. That's terrible. I mean, my bad. The state of Portland basketball. It's obviously not a super fun time to be a Blazers fan, but I think as much as it probably pained all the Blazers fans and that entire organization, oh my God, what the fuck? That entire organization to move on from Damian Lillard, who was, of course, their franchise player since he was basically drafted and had done so much for that team and that organization. I think it was time to kind of cut their losses, and I don't mean losses in like a very negative way because Dame was incredible with Portland, but in terms of just the timeline of that team and what they were kind of giving Dame as surrounding pieces, it didn't really make much sense for them to keep going in that direction. So I know it sucks. There's no really way to sugarcoat things moving on from a guy that has pretty much meant everything to probably that city and that team as a whole. really does kind of sting. But I think moving in this direction of a youth movement and honestly getting the assets you have in return just from all of the deals Portland has made, and they're going to get more assets too because there are veteran pieces on this team that are going to be dealt away next year. There's no doubt about it. So I'm excited for the future of Portland basketball because let's be honest, no matter what they really did, if they had hung on to Damian Lillard over the next 2, 3, 4 years, whatever it's going to be, that team was never going to be anything really competitive or any sort of championship contender. So I'm happy they, did right by Dame. Well, I guess you can kind of look at that a couple different ways. I know he probably wanted to go to Miami, of course, got dealt to Milwaukee, but I think Dame and Giannis are going to have a good season this year, and hopefully Portland is continuing to move in the right direction. So that is going to be it for us. We're obviously going to capture a championship here with this historically great team. Let's close off Tyrese Halliburton. Let's just not let him get up, and he's still going to score. You know what? I'm not ending on that. I need a bucket. I need a bucket, and I want that bucket to be... Let's give it to Ace Bailey. He's been really good for us. Okay, let's call a screen here from Triple J. I actually forgot we have Jaren Jackson Jr. down to the rim. Gonna get fouled. Good night. We cap off a historically great season with a championship in 5 games, and Ace Bailey is your finals MVP. All right, this one was it was an interesting one, to say the least. Again, I mean, there's a lot of, 80 plus overall going on here, but until this, playoff run, basically, Scotty Barnes wasn't a 90. So we had no 90s on this team basically until the end. And 78 wins is how this one's going to end up. So this one was fun. I hope you enjoyed, Blazers fans. I know you probably don't really enjoy watching your team in real life right now. So hopefully this was a fun escape from reality for a little while. So, yep, as I mentioned in the intro of this video, there are 2 teams left to rebuild, that being the Washington Wizards and the Utah Jazz. Those will be the rebuilds over the next 2 days. But after that, we got a... just hear from you guys. Let me know any other rebuild ideas. So that's it for me. As always, thanks so much for watching. I love you guys. I'll catch you guys all in the next one.